by Lotcha Takasha. Since the formation in 1926, Highlanders Football Club have made a massive contribution to the development of football in Zimbabwe. In the process, they have built up a huge fan base which might be concentrated in the Matabeleland region, but if the truth be said, also cuts across the length and breadth of the nation and even spills over to neighboring South Africa. Lovemore Majaivana. The fans boast that Highlanders of the Mulizwe Lonke Highlanders is the nation's team, a boast which has an element of truth in it. They love the team and they come in all forms and shapes, the good, the bad and the ugly, but it is my contention that the good stand out. In the 91 years of history, the club has collected numerous league titles and trophies. The post-independence period has been very fruitful indeed. They have won 7 league titles, but since 2006, the league title has been elusive. Many reasons have been advanced to explain this anomaly, for indeed, a team like Highlanders cannot spend 11 years without winning the league. It is too much for the modern supporter to take. Something is not right, and I seek to identify that. At the beginning of the 2017 season, I tipped Highlanders to win the league. I premised my argument on the fact that they seem to have retained their core squad. The coach was now more experienced after 1 year of working in the league, at a time when the rivals Dynamos were emerging from the ill-fated experiment with Portuguese gaffer Silva. Highlanders appeared like an oasis of stability. How wrong I was. Things began to unravel as the season progressed. The players seemed to lose interest. The fans focused more on what they viewed as unjust decisions against the team. The Asifunium Bombilu, "We do not want nonsense" slogan became toxic and distracted them from giving what the team needed most on match day: unwavering support. In the end, it turned out to be a very disappointing season. They indeed flattered to deceive. Along the way, something strange happened, something I never envisaged would ever happen to this proud club. Highlanders had to rely on a benefactor Longway NDLOVU to bring in Roderick Muchuma to score the goals for them. He was a hired hand, brought in solely to do a job for the team. The interesting part is that it was not the club that negotiated the transfer and the terms of the transfer. It was the businessman who offered the rented player to the club. Here is the interesting part. According to Fortune M. Bell writing for The Standard, the player was sold a pie in the air, or in football parlance, a dummy. Most of the terms of the agreement were not met, and before long, the player became disillusioned and packed his bags back to Harare. The benefactor who had promised the player $3,000 as signing-on fees only paid $1,200, which came in batches, according to Muchuma's manager Carlos Davengua, as if to rub it in. The Prince, as Muchuma is known in football circles, actually donated what remained of the remaining wages and signing-on fees to Highlanders FC. I hope the benefactor will honor that part of the bargain, for he claims to love the club so much. I know a thing or two about benefactors after my reading of Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. They often seek vicarious self-fulfillment, as the portrayal of characters such as Miss Havisham and Magwitch can attest. Now, I do not know this gentleman who brought the player all the way from Harare to Bulawayo and donated him to Bosso. But why did he do it? Why rent a player for a club you profess to love and then not pay him? Dear reader, we are talking here about a great institution, a club rooted in history, a club which has produced many great players, a club which has blessed us with perhaps one of the greatest footballers to wear the Zimbabwe Warriors shirt. 1 Peter NDLOVU. Why would such a club rely on a benefactor who does not honor his part of the bargain? I'm puzzled. This definitely is not the Highlanders' way. The great club's humiliation was compounded when their former son Methama NDLOVU, who owns Bantu Rovers FC, unleashed a mere 15-year-old to confront them in a league match at Barberfield Stadium. The boy Sibizi Somoyo is still developing physically. He has not yet built enough muscle to mix it up with the big boys of the league. I do not think Methama expected the boy to have a game-changing performance. I think his introduction was largely symbolic. It was a slap in the face of this great club, a timely reminder on what they have lost, the junior structures which used to produce quality players. A wake-up call. It was as if Methamab was saying, what happened? Now you rely on benefactors to bring players for you. Where is your pride? The Highlanders of old had a massive production line of junior players. Who can forget Peter, Adam, Ndlovu, Benjamin Gunherap, Willard Kumalo, Mercedes Sibanda, Tshilamoya, Onagombami. The list goes on and on. These were players who had the DNA of the club in them, players who wore their hearts on the sleeves of that iconic black and white shirt. I remember very good young players who had to move to other teams because the competition was stiff. Ronnie, Jeans, Joa and Nobuzachi, the Jackal, Mutongi Gava, Mayans and Eyes come to mind. This is all gone, and although the juniors are still there, they no longer have the same impact. They have produced some notable players, Knox Mounteswa and Teenage Haybeat, who later joined Bantu Rovers, but it is fair to say the production has stalled. What happened? Many other incidences also happened during the course of the season. The public spat between assistant coaches Cosmas Zano Zulu and Armin Somafiri brought unwanted attention to the club. The case of the flag-waving, seemingly xenophobic supporter was highlighted in the press. The coach Agbe gave excuses after excuses. In the end, the atmosphere surrounding the club was not the most inspiring. It was not all gloom and doom, though. One positive happened. The team scored one of the best goals of the season when they played Triangle FC in a league match. It was a team goal, from back to front. 9 players touched the ball until, you guessed right, the Prince buried it home with his head. It was the highlight of his short stint at the club. But such moments were rare when they should be the norm. You might be wondering, how does the song by the great Lovemore, Majaivana, fit into this narrative? I will be brief. The brevity is the soul of wit. The club seems to have lost its pride. Legend Tobias Majaivana, a man who could change a match in the twinkling of an eye, had this to say: during our days, if we lost a match, we would not be found in pubs drinking, walking around town, having a good time. We waited impatiently for the next match to make amends. In matches, we never knew when we were beaten. These days, we give up easily. He said it all here. A wounded Highlanders was a dangerous Highlanders. That fighting spirit is gone.